Hello YouTube, and welcome to BeGruntle. Today we'll be discussing the worst things about having anxiety and agoraphobia. I'm hoping that this video will help people that have agoraphobia and anxiety to realize that they're not alone, even though some of the symptoms may be different. What I found comforting was that it wasn't just me. When I listen to other people and what they go through with their struggles, and I see it's not just me, and it's, you know, like you feel like you're going out of your mind sometimes, or there's something wrong with you. There's a commonality to it all, and people can relate. So I hope it helps those people. And also, I hope it helps people that don't have it. You know, maybe a loved one has it and you want to see what they're going through. And so hopefully this will help in both cases. When I started making this video, I began by writing down a list of the things that I felt were some of the worst things about having these conditions. And the list was pretty long, and I didn't want to do a top 40 list of the worst things about having anxiety. So I broke the list down into categories. Now this list is in no particular order of worst, because anybody that has anxiety or agoraphobia knows that your worst today may not be your worst thing next week, or your worst symptom last week, you know, maybe a little bit better this week, and now you got something new that you're dealing with. So there's no particular order. So let's dive into this list and hash it out together. So the first thing I have is physical, which is like the physical, I want to say, ailments or physical symptoms. I feel like it aged me faster from the time I got started having the anxiety and agoraphobia till now. Like, yeah, look at old pictures and my hair is grayer. I look older. You know, I mean, it's a notable difference, like in a short amount of time. Dark circles under my eyes. I have a lot of aches and pains, like I'm an old person. In my joints, I have exhaustion. IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. My stomach is often, like in situations where my anxiety is increased, my stomach hurts. You know, I'll have not to be crude, but I'll have like diarrhea later. Another thing is tremors. Like if I'm writing in front of someone, my hands will be shaking, and it's noticeable and kind of embarrassing. People have commented on it, like why are your hands shaking, or, you know, what's wrong with you? Did you drink a lot of coffee? So there's that part. Headaches, probably breathing, and it's probably one of my worst ones. It seems to have went away for a while, but then it comes back. But it feels as if like there's a rope tied around my diaphragm and pulled really tight. And it makes it hard to breathe in, and it doesn't feel like I'm getting a full breath sometimes. Even just talking about it, I can feel it, and it made it hard for a long time to exercise or work out, which I always loved, you know, exercising since I was a teenager. I always worked out and try to stay healthy, so that made it really hard. The dizziness is another big one. Just some days, you know, it'll be the breathing thing. Some days it'll be, you know, aches and pains. Other days it'll be dizziness, and it comes and goes. It's very strange. Sweating. Some days I'm very sweaty, feeling just for no reason. This is all new stuff that started happening once I started having anxiety and agoraphobia. Like driving outside, like it'll be a cool day out, but I'll be sweating, you know, because of the agoraphobia. When I have to go somewhere, you know, I get the breathing thing, my heart palpitation. That's another big one. Yeah, it's a lot more than you would think. When I first started getting them, all the physical symptoms, I thought there was something wrong with my heart or my chest, because my heart would beat funny, it felt like, and I couldn't catch my breath some days. It felt like I was suffocating, and I thought maybe I was having an asthma attack, even though I never had asthma before. I thought, well, maybe that's what this is. Anybody who's going through this knows that sometimes I don't have as much of the emotional. Sometimes I'll be in a good mood, but I'll still have like the physical aspects of it. The achy joints, the hard to breathe. I'll be in a good mood, having a good time. It feels like just regular excitement brings it on now, like even good excitement. Where when I got excited before, I don't remember having problems breathing, or I don't remember having, feeling my heart like that. Maybe I just, am noticing it more now. I don't think that's what it is. I always try to explain it to myself what switched the day that I started having anxiety and agoraphobia. What switched? And it's really hard to figure out. So the next category I have is mental. Just a spoiler alert, emotions is next, but I don't feel like they're necessarily the same thing. Some of the mental to me, and I may be wrong. I mean, if you have a different opinion, please put it down in the comments. Mental fog is one of the mental things. Problems remembering, like I can be in a good mood and I can be happy, but I still have problems remembering. Out of body feeling, I would say that one is probably one of the worst, because it kind of triggers, when I have that feeling, it kind of triggers, more anxiety. Like, I don't even know how to explain the out of body feeling. It's like I'm in a different world. Like, it's not me. And it's like I'm living in another body. Like, I go outside and I just feel like there's layers on me, like even if it's a sunny day, I go outside and I'll feel like I'm a different person. I don't know how to explain that or put it into words. If anybody can do better, please put it in the comments. Problems concentrating. Oftentimes my wife will give me a hard time because I'm not paying attention to her. Or I don't remember what she says. She'll tell me to do something and I'll sit there looking at her and like I'm taking it in, but I don't remember it, and I have problems like focusing if it's a long, since she's telling me some instructions that are taking 2 or 3 minutes, I may have problems concentrating. So it makes it really hard to do things when you can't remember. Like I used to have a good memory, I felt, but I'm constantly like, if I'm doing something with phone numbers or even doing this right now, I have to write everything down because I wouldn't remember what I was supposed to say next, So I had to write everything down and then just go from there. Just not being yourself, I felt like I'm a different person. It's like Pandora's box opened the day I had anxiety till now. And it's almost like I was looking, and I still am always looking for like an external factor or something that I'm eating or something, because I just can't explain how that switch happened. Like from one day to the next, I was a different person. And I just want to be who I was before, and you just feel like you can never get there. Like it's never going to happen. So the next category I have is emotions. And to me, this is the depression, the sadness, the anger, the guilt, all those, different emotions that you go through. I didn't feel the depression at first, but the longer that I go through the anxiety and the more limited I became in doing things, the more I felt depressed. And then bitterness set in, especially, in this age of social media, when you go on and you see people out there living their lives and enjoying things, and you're stuck at home in your own mental prison, you start to feel a bitterness, a resentment. It's not a constant thing, but there's certain times I'll get on and it seems worse than others, and then I just get mad at myself, like, why can't you be happy for these people and stuff like that. And then there's also shame, anxiety and agoraphobia. It's hard to tell people, hey, I have anxiety and agoraphobia, because people don't understand that, and you almost feel ashamed. Like there's not a whole lot of people that know that I go through it. That's part of the shame. And then guilt. I feel guilty because I can't be the father I should be to my daughter, and I can't be the husband I should be because I'm not who I was. I don't feel like I feel like I hold them back. So there's a lot of guilt in there too. And I feel like you just go through an array of emotions daily. I wasn't like that. I was never really an emotional person before the anxiety started happening. But since then, It seems like I'm more on a roller coaster of emotions. Like in the mornings, for some reason, I feel a little bit more depressed and anxious, and I feel a lot of these sadder emotions. And then as the day goes on, I feel better. I start to feel better. So I don't know. I don't know if that has anything to do with my particular anxiety, or if that's what everybody goes through. If you have a different experience, please leave it down in the comments. Share it with me. I would like to hear, like, what do other people go through. It makes me, I don't know, it sometimes makes you feel more human. A lot of times when you're surrounded by people that don't have the anxiety. I know a lot of people have anxiety, depression, and they have these things and they go through them, but not everybody talks about it. So, in groups, and you look on social media and everybody's just living their best life, which is good, and that's not a bad thing, but you start to feel like, there's something wrong with you. So the next category I have is relationships, and this is a little different than the first three. The first three were more like symptoms, and I would say this one's more like bad relationships, and I would say like not getting close to people, because I feel like when I meet new people and I have to explain to them, and you don't know what their reaction is going to be, they want to do things like go places, or you come to their house, and if they live too far, I can't do it because of the agoraphobia. One of the reasons is people's comments, I would say, like the stuff people say, and a lot of times they're just trying to help, but they'll, I've had people say, why don't you just start drinking? Someone suggested I put a bag on my head and drive like that. So you get a lot of these comments and people wanting to be helpful, I would imagine, but it's just, sometimes it's not welcomed. So you start to become like isolated. I feel like I'm more isolated now than I ever was, and it's just to avoid those situations. And, not only that, you feel like you're a burden. There was a time where I had a hard time being alone, at home by myself. So I would have to ask someone, like if my wife had to go somewhere, or like if everybody wasn't going to be home, I had to like ask someone to come over and hang out with me, So a lot of my friends at the time, like where I worked when I got laid off, they felt like something, they had to not talk to me anymore and break ties with me for whatever reason. And that made it really hard. That just added to the depression and the anxiety, and it didn't help at all. You can almost understand, as a company can't use you if there's something wrong with you and you can't perform your job. That's almost understandable. But when your friends also, break ties with you and break links with you and fire you, that makes it kind of rough. Also, another thing is I'd like to touch on with the burden thing is, having a family. My daughter was in kindergarten when I started having anxiety. She was just starting kindergarten, and now she's in 10th grade. So it's been that long since we've went anywhere as a family, besides within 5-mile radius of the house. You almost feel like you're a burden to your family, and that's really hard to deal with. And I'm not saying that I haven't coped with it. I haven't found my ways of dealing with it. My wife's wonderful. She never makes me feel that way, but it's just something that you feel you're on your own. There's nothing, nobody can change your mind on that. So anyways, that's how my relationship went. If there's anything that you have, or experience you want to share, just please leave it down in the comments. So the last category I have is just missing life. And that's what I felt the most, like before I started having anxiety and stuff like that. I had dreams, I had job dreams, I had where I wanted to do with my house, what I wanted to do with, working out. I had all these dreams and aspirations, and I had a plan and goals. And it seems like I've just had to put them all on hold because this shut everything down. And anybody that's dealing with anxiety and agoraphobia, they don't want to be there. Like, I don't want to be at the house all the time. I don't want to be stuck in this situation. I want to be gone to work and taking vacations and just living the life everybody else is living. I know when I was working, that it's like, man, this sucks. You think about being home, but you want to be home, if you're rich or something like that and you have money to do things, not just home because you can't go anywhere. It's like a prison. I had to give up a lot of things I loved. Like, people think I'm afraid of driving, and I'm not. I love driving. I used to, as a teenager, I drove from California to Las Vegas a couple times a year. For a while there, I did it every month. I haven't been there in years. I don't know that I'd be able to do it. I don't know if I'll ever. That's, something in my mind that I think, will I ever be able to see San Diego again? Will I ever be able to see the beach again? Or am I stuck here in Las Vegas? At first, it was like, hey, this will clear up. But after it's been, like 10 years, it's like, is this ever going to clear up? Is this just the way it's going to be forever? It's a pretty hard pill to swallow. I feel like, you just gave up on your dreams and that's it. I don't mean to make this video depressing. I just want to share and people to know what people with these ailments are going through. Anxiety, depression, it's real. Like, before I had it, I didn't think it was real. I thought, you know what, just, it's in your head, and it is in your head, but it's not something you could just get out, like being hungry, or, so it's not something you could just shake. As far as I've known, if anybody has any ideas, please leave it down below. If anybody has any missing life stories they'd like to share or talk about, please leave it in the comments. I'm just starting this channel, so I probably won't have that many comments. I'll be able to answer you back. So I know I said that missing out on life was the last category, but I think doctors is a big thing. When I first started having anxiety, I didn't know it was anxiety, and I didn't believe that I was doing it all with my own mind. So I did go to the doctors a lot. I went to the emergency room quite a few times. I've called ambulance before because I thought I was having a heart attack. And like I said, before that, I did not believe that anxiety and your own mind could do this to you and give you these physical ailments. But now when I go to the doctors, most of the time I just chalk it all up as anxiety. But sometimes I have legitimate things that I go to the doctors and I want to talk to them about, and everything, they chalk it up as anxiety because it's in my record, and I tell them that I have anxiety, and so now everything, any ailment, anything, it's probably your anxiety and stuff like that. I've been to several doctors. I don't know if there's any good doctors in Las Vegas that treat anxiety. I don't feel like there is. I feel like I've been to several doctors and all they want to do is just put you on medication. They don't want to hear what you have to say. They don't want to do any kind of test. The things I've read, there's other chemical imbalances that could cause it, lacks of different vitamins or whatever, and I've tried different things like that, but there's no way for me to know if I have the right amount of testosterone and stuff. So you go to the doctors, they don't run any of the tests, they don't ask you any of these questions. You have to figure it out on your own. Trying to diagnose yourself is really tough. Thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe. I'm just starting out. This is my first video. Thank you for listening to it. If you listen to it all the way to the end, maybe I'll make some more if you guys like this. Maybe I'll do some of these in depth. Thank you. Bye.